Morning.
Morning.
Thank you for the invitation to be here today. Just going to make a couple of adjustments here if you don't mind. Alright. So I'm running the same PowerPoint on my computer, but so I don't have to turn around and look. The signal for the PowerPoint I think we talked about earlier is if I want you to move to the next slide, it's going to be one of if I want you to go back, it's going to finish like pulling my ear, okay? All right. Just a couple things. I had the privilege of presenting yesterday, and a couple things I didn't do that I wanted to share with you today. And the first thing was, I just want to reiterate, a lot of the comments that were coming through yesterday was, a lot of churches think that they don't have an impact in what missionaries do, or even what the definition of a missionary is and how that relates to the local church, and how whatever size of church, whatever, we're God's people, we're called to work together, and every part is important. Doesn't matter how big the church is that you attend, it doesn't matter how big your family is, everybody has an important role to play, and prayer, and just any talents that you might have on how to serve God can directly impact the kingdom. So I don't want anybody to think today that missions is out of the reach, even local missions. So I just wanted to clarify that as well. And I also wanted to clarify too that the size of your God will determine how you live your life. So if your God is small in a box that he can only do this much, then you're going to live your life according to the size of your God, and he's only going to be able to do this, that, and the other thing. If the size of your God is a God that was written about in the Bible that we experience in our lives today, that created the whole universe, that is in control of everything even though we don't understand, then you're going to live your life accordingly and represent him as the one who is the ultimate authority on everything and have the confidence to move forward wherever you are. And so I just wanted to state that, but I didn't read the scripture yesterday. I wanted to read the scripture because part of it was, I always say to my wife, I don't like talking about myself very much. I heard that's true. You say that? And so I spent a lot of years living life for myself, which we'll look at in a bit. But I just, 1 Corinthians 1 verse 26 to 30, I'd like to read to you for a second. It says, "For consider your calling, brother. Not many of you were wise according to worldly standards. Not many were powerful. Not many were of noble birth. But God chose what is foolish in the world to shame the wise. God chose what is weak in the world to shame the strong. God chose what is low and despised in the world, even things that are not, to bring to nothing things that are, so no human being might boast in the presence of God." Key. "And because of him, you are in Christ Jesus, who became to us wisdom from God, righteousness and sanctification and redemption, so that it is written, let the one who boasts, boast in the Lord." That, to me, is saying, it's all God, it's nothing that I'm doing. Right? So, glory has to go to God. He deserves the glory. I don't deserve any glory. The bridge doesn't deserve any glory. Nobody deserves glory except for God. We're just the vehicles in which he works out his redemptive plan. So, we're going to start today. It'll be similar to what I presented yesterday, and we structured it yesterday I'm going to share a little bit about our story, my wife and I, how we got together, my conversion, my call to ministry, and then we're going to transition into the bridge and how it's different in the area that we've been called to minister to. And if you have any questions, feel free. I know there's a slide out here that says questions, but when we finish the service, you can track me down and my wife, and then feel free to ask us whatever you want for clarification purposes. So, first slide, please. This is our story. So this is my wife Candace and I. We say I don't get dressed up very often. So when we got dressed up, my daughter Erica, who you'll see in the next slide after, not yet, took the picture and thought, well, you know what, maybe we better savor this moment for Mom and Dad. We're celebrating our anniversary. And this is the town that I grew up in. So if the town is called Simcoe, and I'll show you a map a little bit later on in one of the other slides, but I was raised in this town in Simcoe, Ontario, in southern Ontario, and in fact, the church that I attended, which was the Christian Reformed Church, which I guess has headquarters in Grand Rapids here, is 2 blocks actually continue to go that way. So somehow we ended 2 blocks from it. It's not a big town, but anyways, this is a picture of us. And I was born and raised in a Christian Reformed Church, which means I was baptized as an infant, and I did public profession of faith at the age of 16. And we were encouraged to do that so we could partake into the elements and the communion and to have a vote in whatever they were voting on. And then you're 16 years old, you're not really interested in the voting aspect of it, but you wouldn't mind a piece of bread and juice to wet your whistle once the service is long. So definitely not to be disrespectful, but the personal relationship with Jesus wasn't really emphasized at that time. And I'm not sure if it was particularly with the denomination or just in where we're at that time, but it was just an expectation for you to go through. And so I really didn't have a personal relationship with Jesus at that time. Now, my parents are immigrants from Holland. They came over when they were young teenagers. So the CRC was also known as the Dutch Reformed Church in our area. And I just want you to, I'm going to refer back to the immigrant status of sorts because it plays a factor in how I lived out my life for the first little bit. And my father was an OPP officer, so he was a sergeant for the Ontario Provincial Police. And the reason why that's important is because I took a shining to not respect authority figures, which he represented, and so we had sort of butt heads right away. My mother was a homemaker who worked various jobs throughout her time, and they're both retired now, but while she was contributing, and my brother ended up being a doctor. So he's 4 years older than I am. So to give you an idea, you have the authority sergeant for the OPP, and then you've got the doctor over here, and so there's actually an empty slot that I get to fit into, and it looks a lot like a sheep that's black, right? So I ended up in that spot, and I sort of enjoyed that spot because it was pushing against everything that my family believed in. I did enjoy school. I was anti-authoritarian, but for some miracle, thanks to the Lord, He brought my beautiful to-be wife Candace into the picture when we were 19 years old. And I got to tell this story, and my wife just sort of shivers when I say it, but when we were 19 years old, I had been praying for 3 years to find a wife because I just did not enjoy the dating scene whatsoever. And I was young, right? So how many years did I have in the dating scene? But I said, but my wife, we met when we were 19, and 6 months after, I said, that's it, so I'm going to engage to her. Well, inner circles through the church, when you engaged really early into a relationship, there had to have been a reason. Right? So everyone thought my wife was pregnant. So we waited 1.5 years to show that wasn't that.
No, we waited 1.5 years to get married.
Yeah, no, sorry. We waited 1.5 years to get married after the 6-month engagement. See, this is why I had to read from 1 Corinthians. It's nothing about us. We don't represent God at all sometimes. So, anyways, so it was 2 years before we got married, and then we waited 4 years to have children, so then now there was a problem why we couldn't have children. So anyways, it's just funny little circles I go through. But we're celebrating 22 years of marriage this September. Yes, she's been a very patient woman. And through that time, she's not disagreeing, and then through that time, I was an entrepreneur, so I have an anti-authoritarian type mentality. I didn't want to have a boss. You know, I'm a young, focused individual. You can't tell me anything. I'm your typical young male, and I know things better, and I'm going to do this. And you know what? And we did. We got some traction. So I was an entrepreneur from the word go, and sort of my escape to the authoritative issues. And through that time, I had a love of materialism. Now I'll tell you why this is important. My parents came over from Holland, so they came here with nothing. Their parents, right? And so I was in the culture that I grew up in. the immigrants, one of the ways to show how successful you were is by what you could acquire. So, the bigger the house, the fancier the house, the fancier the car, the nicest clothes you own, the jewelry. It was like a fashion show in our churches. The parking lot had all brand new vehicles in it. And, you know, it was just, it was an accumulation of wealth. And because of my personality is all or nothing. I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to embrace this love of materialism, and we're just going to run with it. And so my entrepreneurship was motivated not to make a living for my family, but to acquire as many things that I could to show how successful we were. So my identity was actually in the stuff that I was acquiring. So we ended up, got into the trucking industry, started to drive a transport truck, started to go all over North America, made decent money, ended up buying my own truck, made more money, ended up getting our own authorities and having our own transportation company, and made more money. And so I just started acquiring stuff. Now I was in partnership with somebody at the time, and it just didn't end well for many reasons, and we didn't have the same, there's a few things that were happening that were out of my control. The only way I could control it was distancing myself from the company. So I did that and had to start over. And when we started over, we met all the wrong people at the right time. I always say the right people at the wrong time, but it was the wrong people at the right time. So when I got back into business and leaned everything against the business to get it back up again, everything that I had worked for so many years, so it's like a constant gradual climb, and one day everything collapsed and dropped off. So my identity and what we acquired ended up being my identity was nothing because everything that I acquired was repossessed. So we had to start from scratch. And at that time, my wife was in Teachers College in Buffalo, finishing up her degree, and we had 2 little children. So we were making the transition, trying to shelter our children from the impacts of what was going on and the realities of that, and then trying for us to keep our marriage together, and then still transition into us, from our home and our lifestyle into a new lifestyle and a small rental. And the reason why that is key is because I tried to self-medicate through that time. I was the alpha male, that's how you're raised, right? You have to provide for your family. And the person that had provided that identity there's nothing there. After a little bit of time, 6 months approximately, one of my friends said, you need to go back to work, and here's a job. You need to follow up on this. And it was to, back in the trucking industry, hauling gasoline to all the gas stations in the area. And so I reluctantly took it, and we're going to fast forward almost a year from there. In about a year, my wife was finished Teachers College. It was so there's a pivotal point here. We're going to say it was approximately about a week before this pivotal point. I said to my wife, I need to be doing something else. You ever get that where there's something more for you, but you have no idea what it is? And I said to her, well, I'm back in the industry that jaded us. What are we going to do? I need to do more. I'm not meant to be a truck driver. There's nothing wrong with driving a truck, but I'm not meant to do this anymore. And she said, well, let's go back to school. And I said, I'm anti-authoritarian. You put me in school, we're going to have issues, right? And I said, but I would consider that, but that's not even on the table because we're going to be paying off your education for quite a while. I said, but I'm not happy. I'll continue this, but it is what it is. So a week later, and I said to her, the only way this could happen, I said, is if somebody paid for my education. I don't know about you guys, but what are the chances of that happening? Hey, I'm going to give you a free ride through whatever. So a week later, it was my son's birthday, November 28th. I forget the year. It's not important. I try not to keep track of those dates and move forward. But I remember on November 29th, I don't know what I mean by dates, not the monthly dates, the yearly dates. On November 29th was my wife's first call to a school to fill a position, to get into the rotation. And I was at the refinery and I had an accident. I was loading my truck and I fell and I broke my leg, my lower left leg in 2 spots. And so I didn't get surgery for a couple of weeks, but I ended up requiring plates, screws, pins, wires, the whole 9 yards. Well, if there's ever a question of what I was supposed to do, now there was another question even harder of what am I going to do? And God, well, what are you? I wouldn't say I had a personal relationship with Jesus, but I certainly like to ask him questions. What's your point here? I had a lifestyle, met all the wrong people, fell apart, got back in to provide for my family. Now you drop me down again. Now this time physically, what's the deal? And so we're going to move forward a little faster through this, but the injury never healed properly. So long story short. And they said, you're not going to go back to work. And so at that time they said, you need to be retrained in something. Many of you can probably make the next steps here, but there was a transition spot where I was searching. And since we're ostracized from our church down the road, it did help us in the time of need, but now we're just sort of those people who are no longer represent the same values that we had. I started attending another church and talking with the pastor, and I said, no, what am I going to do? What's going on in life? What's the purpose? And he said, just come in, start reading the book of Acts. That's ironic that he had that up there. And he said, read the book of Acts, I'll give you some questions, answer the questions, bring them in, I'll mark them, and then we just do that for a while. We'll do that for a while. I said, okay. So I was doing that, and then I came to meet him one day, and he said, meet me at McDonald's. So I said, okay, no problem. We went and had lunch at McDonald's. And on the way out of McDonald's, I was in my car, I remember, and I'm on the exit, and all of a sudden, in my head, all I heard was, there's nothing more important than ministry. And since I'm a skeptic at times, it was repeated, and because I'm still a skeptic at times, it was repeated 3 times. And so 3 times, there's nothing more important than ministry. I was just all of a sudden overjoyed. I had a purpose. I felt like I had a purpose. This wasn't anything for me. Anybody that knows of my past, and being of somewhat of a checkered youth, ministry was not the direction I was on my radar. So I called my wife right away. I was like, hey, guess what? I feel like I just got a call into ministry. And she was like, she was overjoyed. And became overjoyed, maybe that was still. So I said, you know what? So all of a sudden I was like, oh, really? Was this a call? Did I just imagine this happening? Was it the food that made me hallucinate a little bit, or what was going on? Right? And so I said, okay, God, I'll tell you what. Now, in hindsight, I threw a fleece out there. I go, we're attending this one church. I said, if God, you want me to get into ministry, because this is a major change in my life. I said, have this specific person call me before 9 o'clock tonight. Not related to the church that we were in, and there'd be no reason why this person would have called me. But I was throwing a fleece out. Now, Judges 6 talks about Gideon putting his fleece out. It's actually a great testimony of someone's lack of faith in God's patience with us while we question his will for our lives. But nevertheless, I had minimal faith. And so 9 o'clock came around and nothing. There it is. And as I'm walking away from the phone, 901, the phone rings. So, and it was this person, for some obscure reason why they were calling. Now, my wife and I say there was something wrong with our clocks. It probably wasn't 901 at all. It was probably like 8. God's not on our time, but he's on his time, so our clocks were probably wrong, not his, so he didn't call after the deadline I gave him. Not that I dictate deadlines to him, but anyways, he called, so now this is it. This is what I have to do.
What specific time?
Yes, specific. Yeah. Absolutely. So as I started to go through there, we started researching different ministry options and different degrees, and now someone who had a grade 12 education. And there's nothing wrong with that at all, but was being called to the ministry, and I had to get trained because that's what WSIB, which stands for Workplace Safety Insurance Board, they were paying me because I got injured at work. They wanted to retrain me, but they said you can't do it anymore, it can't take any longer than 3.5 years, it can't be at a university, and it can't be more than so far away. So this is where my Dutch background comes in handy. I found a seminary that would allow me to qualify for a master's in divinity. allow me to come in as a mature student, so I had to take 1 year of a college to show that I could handle the workload. And then if I did well on that, they'd put me into the Masters of Divinity program. And if I did it concurrent, so without taking a month off, I could do it in 3.5 years. At a community college, private college. And so I said, this is it, this is what I have to do. And I sent it to them, plan A. They said, well, no, thank you for your plan A there. But we need a plan B. And I said, what do you mean? They said, well, it's going to boil down to money somehow, right? So if it costs X amount for putting you in the ministry, and X amount for you to do something different in the ministry, and it's cheaper, we're going to put you in the cheaper one. And I know that's how it works, so I said, okay, I'll tell you what, I'll give you a plan B. So I took plan B, and I said, see plan A. I'm not kidding you, I got a lot of flack for that. You got to give us a plan B. It is, see plan A. Plan B is plan A. I can't do anything else. This is what God wants done. I'm not going to give you an option or an out. And I said, fine, we'll put it through, but we've never seen this happen before. And I said, okay, well, whatever, you do what you want. So we gave it to them, left it in their hand, and we pretty much just carried on. It was like forever. It's like, oh, we got like another month going past, what's going on? So he calls me. My case adjudicator called me and he said, Derrick, this has gone, your plan A has gone through many meetings, higher up and higher up and higher up. And he goes, you know what? It was around Christmas time. He says, I don't know how to tell you this, but it's been approved. So we're going to cover all your expenses to go to school. We're going to cover the schooling. We're going to continue to pay you because of your previous job. We're going to pay your wages, and we're going to cover all expenses associated with it. And he said, we haven't seen that happen ever. He said, so please don't mess up. I said, okay. So the journey started happening. The seminary journey started happening. And right after that, the seminary no longer allowed that type of entrance. And WSIB no longer approved that kind of time. They shortened that down to 2 years. And it had to be with, the retraining had to be for the company you were previously with. So all this is done. So we did. We went through that. And because they had a church planting division with the denomination that was associated with that seminary, in the seminary, and they knew I was an entrepreneur as I was working my way through the seminary, they were like, hey, Derrick, we hear you like to start businesses. Want to plant a church? Oh, well, maybe. So we went through the vetting process with them. And they said, we want you to do what God's laid on your heart. So when you see the map in a couple slides, not yet, that means just wait. But when you see the slides in a couple, Port Dover is actually, if you're in Erie, Pennsylvania, went straight across Lake Erie, like to the north, you'd run into Port Dover. Port Dover is about 8 minutes south of where we live. So I wanted to plant a church in that town. And when I came out of seminary after graduating, amen, praise the Lord for that, I realized the realities of ministry. Pastors, some are scared, some are burnt out, some are trying to meet budgets, some are focused on the small things in life and trying to micromanage. And when my church plant went to get approved by the association of that denomination, they voted against it because the pastor in Simcoe had 3 families coming from that town to his church, and he didn't want to lose them. So you're coming into a broken world. Sin permeates all aspects. And that was the reality. Now, the ironic thing is now, when I took some time off and and tried to go back to the previous church that I grew up in to try to develop some small groups, which they allowed me to do as a volunteer, I ended up coming through NAM and planting in my hometown, which is the same town that pastor has a church in. Which I never met him until a few weeks ago when we sat down at a ministerial meeting, and we didn't say anything. I was just talking to him like he didn't know who I was, but I can see there just a lot of churches are on the downswing, and you get into reactive mode. Yeah. So, anyways, I'm starting to have a heart for my town rather than the neighboring town. So And this is my hometown, so I grew up in this town, which has unique challenges because now people remember me for who I was and not for who the Lord's called me to be. The ones that really accept what I'm doing, they see that God is an awesome God and He can do whatever He wants. And He can change people fully and completely. But a lot of people just don't believe that the change is real because of past events, right? So it's a testimony in and of itself. So, with that being said, next slide, please. Hey, that's my family right there. So, going on to the bridge, then my wife Tanis to the right. This is my daughter Erica. She's 18. She's beside her. I'm in the center there. My son Nick is on the left. He's 15. Because I had a permanent injury and it's never healed the same, so I'm on still a partial disability check till the age of 65, and I spent a lot of time watching the Food Network on recovery, and I really like to cook with tasteful ingredients that equals fat. I gained some weight, and my daughter says, we should do a 5K run, Dad. And I said, she goes, this color run is supposed to be the funnest run ever. And so I said, okay, so every 1 kilometer, so there's 1.6 kilometers to a mile, so it'd be like a 3.1 mile run, I guess, right? Is that right? My math okay there? No? Okay, and so every 1 kilometer you get pelted with paint, and then it's like, hey, I just got pelted with paint, and then you end up after the 5K and you look like a rainbow, and it was a blast. It wasn't a blast at all. It was exhausting. I am not built to run. You see this? You don't see athletes when you see this. You see that guy that likes to cook. So anyways, this is my family. And when we started the bridge, this was pretty much the support team. I'm going to transition into the next slide, please. The bridge is in Simcoe, Ontario, Canada. The population, Simcoe in of itself is 16,000 people. But we're part of Norfolk County, which is 64,000 people. And it used to be Haldeman in Norfolk County before they split it, for whatever reason they do that. And which Haldeman County has 51,000 people. So it's actually between the original Haldeman and Norfolk County has about 115,000 people. So we live in a town of 16,000 people. All right, next slide, please. And I tried to circle. Can you see the circle? I don't know how well you can see that. Can you see that? Okay, so pretty much we're going to say this line, anyways, that circle is the red dots. And you guys are just over up here to the top left. So we're similar on the same latitude-ish wise, but I'm 2.5 hours southeast of Port Huron. So actually, when we crossed the border, you guys are almost, Midland, where we went, was halfway. So the border is right in the middle from us, coming up from southern Ontario. So you'd come straight across into London, and then you'd sort of come down onto the north shore of Lake Erie. So and the reason why I put this one is because a lot of people are saying Lake Simcoe is north of Toronto, and people like to go fishing there. No, we're on the north shore of Lake Erie, which is Niagara. Yeah. So Niagara is to the east of us, right? And so we're actually only 2.5 hours from the bridge. Okay, next slide, please. So if someone say, what would you talk about as far as your town goes? Well, our town has crime. I think every town has some degree of crime. When I was young, I was part of that, but it was petty stuff. It wasn't anything big. Now we're seeing homicides, we're seeing house invasions, we're seeing theft, we're seeing a lot of things, and a lot of drug-induced crimes as well. And I'm not sure, is everybody familiar with what a methadone clinic is? So it's we have 3 methadone clinics in a town of 16,000 people. It's crystal meth, just drugs in general, just permeated our town. So because we have such a high number of clinics in such a small town, we draw the people needing those products from neighboring towns. So right now we're drawing people that have had some addiction issues, which we're more than happy, but it just gives you an idea of how the town is going. There's numerous pawn shops in and of itself. Pawn shops are a business, people use them. And numerous cash advancers, they're another business that people use them. But when you see those two things and you see them multiplying in town, those are markers that your town is now becoming impoverished. And we have a high migrant worker presence. So in southern Ontario, it's called the Garden of Ontario, we have a lot of farms. And because we can't get enough workers, the farmers bring in migrant workers. So Thursday night, if you come into Simcoe, it'll be populated with the Mexican ethnicity. When you come in on Friday, it will be full of all the Caribbean migrant workers. And the reason why they do that is because they don't get along. So if you bring them all in on the same night, there's going to be issues. And so they get busted. You go into one of our grocery stores, you'll see 40 old buses that's been converted into people carriers to bring migrant workers in. And that's created unique problems in and of itself. Just, there's some issues with that. But anyways, it's always been that way. Since I was a kid, it's always been that way. Next slide, please. So somebody said, how many churches? We got about 20 churches in town. Most are fighting to stay open, which churches in general in today's day and age are having some issues. We get someone, why do you want to plant a church in an area that has this many churches? Well, I'd say there's 2 thriving churches in that. One, a very conservative church, they're thriving, and one very liberal Pentecostal church, and they're thriving. Every other church is fighting to stay open. None have discipleship strategies, and if we understand Matthew 28 clearly, we need to have those in our churches. All struggle with building community. I'll touch on that a little bit later. All struggle with reaching young people. Yeah, they're the future of the church, right? So if you struggle to reach them, now we're going to have some issues with the longevity of that. And all are traditional in nature and practice, which isn't a problem, but if it's not pulling people in and reaching people, then maybe we need to adjust how we do things to try to reach that generation. And we actually have a group of people who formed this cause. And so they're a group of people that have represented, want to represent Christ in serving the community, and not necessarily belong to any one denomination. We've had a lot of churches in our area, heard a lot of people, and different organizations have developed because of that. So we need better representation. But anyways, they're doing great things, this organization, but it's not a denomination. It's a bunch of God-fearing people trying to positively impact the community they live in. And so COS stands for Church Out Serving. But that's not affiliated with any one denomination in there. Next slide, please. So the definition of insanity, trying to do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Einstein said that, so we knew we couldn't come in and try to put up a building, 4 walls, and have a Sunday service and say, okay, we've got a newer message, we've got more upbeat songs, or whatever it is. Next slide, please. So we thought we're going to do something a little bit different. Our focus is going to be kingdom mentality. Kingdom mentality. Because I had a love of materialism and finances while growing up, I go, the kingdom mentality is going to be, I don't care who gets the credit. Life's not about me. And in fact, you'll see Rev D, that's my stage name. I don't even want my name to be represented because I want the glory to go to God. I spent many years trying to pump up our family name. So it's not about me. So we want kingdom mentality. With the work that we do, if it glorifies and builds the body of Christ, regardless where it is, that's what we want to do. Which also means kingdom mentality supporting the quality being done well. So one of the neighboring churches has a thriving youth group. We send our kids there to support that. I'm not going to do something to compete against that. But also kingdom mentality, where its problems are, because everybody has a kingdom mentality until it comes to finances. And it's no longer a kingdom mentality. But anyway, so we wanted to focus on the kingdom mentality. We wanted to focus on discipleship, next steps, how to walk with someone, how to get them to grow and mature. Mentoring, we wanted to do mass mentoring, multiplication. We wanted the body of Christ to grow. That's what this is all about. Building authentic community. The problem that we had, the fact that I had to put authentic before the word community means we do community without being authentic, which is problematic. Excuse me. Pastor Mike, so if I say to you on a Sunday morning, I come up and I said, how you doing, Pastor Mike? And then I just keep walking and you're getting ready to say, well, I'm not too good. And I'm already gone. That's not authentic at all. I wasn't asking that question to hear a response. I was asking that question because I needed something to say as I walked past. We don't listen. We don't ask questions. We need to see at the heart, because if there's an issue that needs to be addressed, we need to be there for that, and maybe God wants to use us to help that individual. So when we ask a question, that has to be authentic. We have to mean it. Otherwise, don't say anything. Right? So my wife and I and family have experienced this in certain places, and so we thought we need to build authentic community. That's the goal. On the next slide, please. We go, okay, so what else are we going to focus on if we're going to come and do a church plant? A movement. We want a movement versus a church. We have enough churches in town that have 4 walls. And we want a movement. The church is God's people. So everybody in here, you're the church. Right? This building is just where you guys meet. But now when you go home after this, the church is moving. So God uses that. He doesn't necessarily bring people through our doors. We have to go and meet them where they're at. So that means there's an expectation that you need to be active with sharing your faith. So we wanted to stress the movement, always movement. And so the way we started with that on the next slide, we'd come up with the slogan of this: no judgment, no politics, just Jesus. Now, I'm going to clarify something. We had a question yesterday. Someone says, what do you mean by no judgment? Does that mean you don't want to confront sin? That does not got nothing to do with that. What that means is I'm not going to judge you based on how you show up, because we're all broken. And some churches have been very good at doing that. In one area, I remember bringing a friend to church. He had a motorcycle jacket on, and the pastor came up to me and said, can you get him not to wear that to church next week? Part of my authoritarian mentality gave me a specific response that wasn't very helpful to him. But it was no judgment, no politics, just Jesus. You got to see Jesus. That's where it starts. And so we've got a 2-pronged approach now, which means the next slide will say this: learn, engage, disciple, which is you see that on our banners here. Embracing our imperfections. All right. So none of us are perfect. We all come from the same spot. We're all showing up short of the glory of God, right? We're not perfect this side of heaven. We embrace your imperfections. I'm not perfect. That's cool. But you know what? When we learn what the Bible has to say, the Word of God, we learn that we need to engage. And when we engage with other people in the social circles, we'll create opportunities for discipling, discipleship. Because discipleship, in my opinion, happens pre-conversion, right? It's intentionality, spending with that time, building a relationship. And then once we disciple, we start all over again. We learn, and then we engage, and then we disciple. We just multiply. That's how multiply. So that's how we're going to do that. So the next slide says nothing. Well, it says how. That's not me, but I was a chubby baby when I was a kid. And it's got some drool on there. But how do you do all this? You want to show up into the town that you're at? How do you do all this? Well, next slide, please. We go, who are we trying to reach? Well, we're trying to reach the people that are involved in the church right now. And so who is that? Well, it's the millennials and Gen X, mostly, in our church, in our areas. So, the millennials and the Gen X. So what are we going to do? We're going to go, they're on Facebook, they're on social media. We're going to crawl a Facebook page called the Bridge Movement. We're going to have a presence. The presence on there is to encourage people to develop prompt thought, create awareness of everything that we're doing. And then we're going to go, okay, the bridgemovement.net. That's going to be our website. I'll share my thoughts on there. I've been gifted the opportunity, and the Lord's gifted me the ability to not fluff up topics when I blog. And if you can read between the lines there, someone said your name should have been Frank, because you're just frank when you write. And I said, possibly, but we need to encourage people. We need to remove the fluff. We need to just share the thoughts. And so the next slide, we go, okay, what are the 3 things we're going to focus on? And the 3 things we're going to focus on are life group, secret church, and monthly public services. The life groups can be broken down into 3 things. Sorry, sir, what's your name? Rick? Okay. Thanks for being part of my message here, Rick. So, Rick, if you were in our life group, what we'd say, we'd go, okay, Rick, there's going to be about 12 of us that are going to meet on a weekly evening. These are the 3 questions that you would get. You don't have to respond to me, but I'm going to ask you, this is the 3 questions. I go, Rick, how's your week been with walking with the Lord? Right? Because, and if you said fine, I'm going to say, Rick, maybe you didn't hear my question. How was your week walking with the Lord? I want you to know that I care. I want to hear your joys, and I want to hear areas that you're struggling with, because I can't pray for you if I don't know those things. And I want you to do that in a group. So, next question, I'd say, Rick, where have you seen God working this week? And this is where people go, well, I didn't see any big miracles happen. You know, it's not like I left my house and my lawn was crap, and I came back and my lawn was crap. I wasn't, pouring a glass of water and it's turned into wine or I drink, People see that they look for the stuff. But I said, you know what? We're overcomplicating it. If you woke up this morning, God's working, He sustains life. So let's just get all this stuff away and get back down to basics. And so I'd say, Rick, you woke up this morning, God's working in your life, hallelujah. And the reason why we ask that question, so a reflection question, how was your week? An observation, where's God working? Is when you buy a car that you think nobody else has, you buy that car, you hop in that car, now everybody's got that car. It's an awareness thing, which it can help you build on your foundation. So the next question I'd ask you, and I didn't bring any up, but I'd ask you an accountability question. I'd challenge Rick, I'd say, you know what, I want you to do 2 random acts of kindness this week. And we have little cards called random acts of kindness, which you'll see in the things that we give you guys afterwards. And to do it anonymously. Go bless someone anonymously and give God the glory because He deserves it. So it's an accountability. How did you do with that? Or on our Sunday night groups, I ask an accountability question. On our Sunday night groups, I go, okay, I want you guys to write down 10 names of everybody that the Lord's laid on your heart that we need to pray for salvation. We're going to put this list together, and I want everybody to pray for this once a day for 30 days. How did you do with that? And so that creates some unique opportunities when you put in an environment like that with the life groups. And then we go on to a topic that we support biblically because it's always about the Bible, but we needed to build that community, authentic community. We do secret church events once every other month. If you have an average message when you don't have a missionary speaking, it's usually about 30 minutes per Sunday. And then if you do that 4 times in 1 month, that's 2 hours. 2 months, that's 4 hours. The secret church event is about 4.5 hours of deep instructional time. So we have people gather in our basement. We do secret church once every other month. We commune. We have dinner together, and we study together here. David Platt speak on a specific subject. Awesome. And we do monthly public services. Part of cost of what it has, the cost of monthly public services, but we do it once a month on a Thursday evening. We can't do it on a weekend. That's everybody's doing it. We're not competing that way. And I hire a DJ to come in and run on the sound. So he sets up all the equipment. He runs my mic. I pay him, and now he's coming to our Sunday night small groups, and we've seen the Lord move in his life, maybe. So, next slide, please. I think it's going to prompt me to talk about results. And so the next slide after that would be, this is our first public service we launched last September. Now, this looks good. These numbers, they look fantastic. The fact is, they're only there because I gave them free food. Which, the next slide, please, is another idea. So, this is Thursday evening, and next slide, please, which is the food. I'm not a great speaker, okay? So the idea when you feed food before, you have to get people to sit down and listen to the message. You gotta be more animated to keep people awake. So, but we tried that. In hindsight, I might feed them afterwards if they can wait that long. But we had approximately 50 people there that came out and supported us for that, which was encouraging. Next slide, please. This is our Sunday night group. We met for a Father's Day breakfast. It just shows you the different individuals that we're reaching in that community. Next slide, please. Okay, now, if you just turn your head sideways maybe a little bit, you can see in the basement. This is our basement now, but that's what you'd see. Next slide, please. Okay, now this is upstairs. The reason why this looks different is because when we first started, we're in year 3 right now. When we first started, we were having small groups meet in my home, which they still do. And we were meeting, we live in a bungalow, so I have one living area up there, like 3 bedrooms and a kitchen. So whenever we met in our living room upstairs, my basement was unfinished. my family, if they weren't part of the groups, they would have to, because of the confidentiality of our small groups, they'd go somewhere else, which was ultimately the rooms because there's nowhere else to go. So, in an effort, we're celebrating 22 years of marriage. If I wanted another 22 years of marriage, I maybe should think about providing a different spot to do church. So, next slide, please. Next slide, please. It gives you an idea of all the men. So now we're downstairs. So I'm handy, not handsome, as Red Green says. So I renovated the basement. It was all concrete. This is where our life groups meet right now. And interesting, on this picture here, this was before we split. There's about 18 people here in my basement. The guy with the light on right now is Ruben. Been in our small groups, and the whole idea of these small groups is to build up, grow, and multiply, right? So we're raising up leaders. The light's on him, which they never really, it's handy now, but I said to all these guys, okay, you've been meeting here for about a year. You're going to have to start doing a presentation. So I said, come up with a topic, I'm going to help you, and I want you to present it to the group. He goes, I don't want to do a topic, I want to start a new group. Now, Ruben's got a bit of a speech impediment, he stutters, our enemy's weighing heavy on him, but he goes, I'm going to bust through and I'm going to do this small group. So he leads a small group now at a neighboring church, and that church calls it the Bridge Group in their church. Kingdom mentality. And both our Wednesday night groups are getting ready to split again and multiply and reach more people. So 12 is ideally the group. Next slide, please. This is our secret church event. So there's a TV there. We watch David Platt. We sit down and we get as many people as we can to come in and sit for 4.5 hours of instructional time. Once a month, every other month. Next slide, please. And this is ultimately what it's about. My baptismal font is at a comfortable 102 degrees. Next slide, please. And next slide. And next slide. Evaluating efforts. Okay. We're a young church plant. There's a few things you need to know. Evaluating efforts. They usually say you need to baptize so many people. So many people need to come to Jesus. I can only meet so many people in a month. Okay. Now let's know how many people are. Maybe let's say average of 5 per table, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 35 people here. Okay, if I can go out during the week and only meet X amount of people in so many different circles, but I can empower everybody here to live out their faith daily. That's 35 people a month living out their faith daily. If you do that 3 times each, you're going to be into over 115 105 times maybe. I don't know. That's more than I could ever do, into the circles that I could ever do. So baptism is an effort of the people that I'm meeting that aren't saved. But to see these guys show up during the week and share their testimony and what God's done in their life, to share with others, to live out their faith, and to invite people to small groups, invite people to church, you can't put a number on that. And so we're called to empower people and live out our faith by an example. So we need to evaluate efforts of how that looks. So next slide, please. We currently have 3 active small life groups, 2 on Wednesday night, 1 on Sunday night. Millennials and Gen X are primarily, they're in our Wednesday night groups, so they're about, and we have anywhere between 10 to 15 per group. So we have approximately 30 millennials and Gen X. We're multiplying and we're working with another church in a neighboring town. Next slide, please. What role does IMB and NAM play in what we do? Well, if you contribute to the Lottie Moon or the Annie Armstrong, you have a direct impact on my ministry. And thank you. Because it's only through NAM can we do what we do. They have such, I've researched some other organizations' ability to support church planting. Nothing like what NAM does. When I was part of the Christian Reformed Church, they have their ways. When I came to the SBC, I've never been accepted more as a family, and a family in my entire life. So you guys should be happy that you've got great representation through your organization of how they directly impact what they do. They think of everything. And if you're interested in missions, these are the 2 places I'd suggest that you go to: the International Missions Board or NAM, and figure out from there where God's calling you to be. Next slide, and don't worry, we're getting close to being done here. Do I have any churches partnering with you? No, so be in touch. working on a conviction. You know what? I just need to plant a church, so no core team, no sending church, no supporting church. We didn't have any of that. We still don't. But we're on year 3. Next slide. A few interesting facts. Next slide. Planting in the USA, so that would be the black line. These are per year, first, second, third year, the markers. Average of new commitments to Christ in church plants in the USA. So 11, 14, and 18 by the third year. Canada on the bottom, 8, 6, and 6. Which I think is pretty generous for new commitments. Next slide, please. In fact, that's taken from, if anybody wants this, I give it to them. But that's through this survey Ed Stetzer did with Lifeway. This is a survey from 2015. Canada's post-Christian context is probably more similar to many countries in Europe, where liftoff for church plants is sometimes slower, takes more perseverance, and is not yet at the multiplication level occurring in the United States. Which means, if you're going to plant in Canada, it's going to take some time. And you better sit back and have a strategy for that. Next slide, please. Which means 58% of Canadian church plants are not self-sufficient. And they concluded that after year 8. Right. Next slide. So are we looking for partnerships? They asked us that to talk about that. Absolutely. We'd love to partner with you individually as a church. Whatever the Lord's laying on your heart. No church is too small. The impact is for the kingdom. Right? Next slide, please. Have prayer people and financial resources. You're gonna be interested in this. I don't like talking about financial resources because it's been something I lived my whole life for. So when someone says, "How can we help you?" I never bring up financial resources. What I was instructed to do is just put it out there, just get over your comfort zone and just say it. So the next slide, prayer, impact the community. We need your prayer for that. We need a prayer for development of partnership with people in churches. And because we are so low with NAM, we need to reach a goal of raising $1,700 a month Canadian, which my wife jokes is about $14 American a month. That's the realities is NAM can't support you indefinitely, and the idea is to be supported, be self-sufficient by year 3. So we're on year 3, and we're looking for some support for that. But that's not why we came here today. Next slide, please. If you or your church are interested in partnering, we'd love to explore the opportunity. Next slide. There's a time for questions, which means questions. You can go to the next slide. I think it's a thank you slide. Thank you for letting me chat up here. If you have any questions about what we do or how you can pray for us, by all means, come and talk to us. There's a tote over beside that banner for taking your time for persevering with us today as I presented. We'll give you a gift. Everybody can have one. If you know somebody that would like one, take one for them, even if they're not here. By all means, they're for you guys. Just leave my projector in the box. That's not the gift.
Please.
The gift is all the other stuff. And I just, can I pray for a second? Do you mind if I pray with everyone? Lord, we just want to come to you today. We thank you for your amazing work and what you're doing throughout the world. We thank you for the work you're doing here within this church under your servant pastor, Mike. And we just, we thank you for this opportunity to be able to share. We thank you for the SBC and NAM. And we thank you for the faithful churches and individuals that support that. So we can try to further your kingdom and what you've laid on our hearts. Lord, I just want to lift this church up and everybody here. Lord, I just ask and pray that you continue to watch over them and guide them. We ask and pray you continue to just comfort them in the times that they need comforting. Give them the strength and courage to represent you well in all areas of their life. To be the church, to be that missionary, that local missionary, to have that life where you're focused first and everything we do is through that lens of you and how to serve you. Lord, we just thank you for this time. We thank you for these people. And we ask and pray that you continue to guide and lead as we strive to worship you every day. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.